Okay, so I'm back from American Milsim's Op34. It was held at an abandoned chemical plant outside of Chicago in University Park, Illinois. The AO is awesome. It is like a dream come true for anyone who grew up on 80s and 90s action movies and playing arcade games like Lethal Enforcers or Area 51. If you get an opportunity to play there, do it. Both AMS and Third Coast Airsoft have hosted events there. Just make sure that you have a good flashlight, and for the love of God, wear a helmet. It's an old industrial site, so there are pipes and brackets and steel tanks and shit everywhere. This place has so much low-hanging metal and is so dark in many areas that it can be really hazardous. Protect your head. Seriously. Also, be cautious of your footing. There is debris everywhere and steps or drop-offs that can catch you off guard if you get careless. The floor was also very slippery in some areas, but that was just due to the unusually high rainfall that weekend. Another thing about the AO that is worth mentioning is that it is not strictly a CQB environment. There are many different types of buildings and many wide open outdoor and indoor spaces. Some of the engagements that we experienced were very long range. In fact, at the end of the first day, I had done so much outdoor play that I kind of wished I had brought my outdoor gun. I have to say, though, that Galil-chan really stepped up and didn't let me down, even though she's a 320 FPS CQB gun. In fact, once I got her hop-up dialed in, I was outranging a lot of people with much more expensive guns than me, including some teammates' HPA R-hopped M4s. Gotta love that stock Sima AK style hop-up. Now, on to the operational AAR, which I'll keep pretty informal. What was supposed to happen? Hyena Squad, SOTURF, and the Bootleggers were supposed to combine to create an adaptable and dynamic infantry squad with the flexibility and firepower to accomplish a wide variety of missions and best serve the UFS command structure. Did this happen? Yes. Kilo Platoon had good leadership and each squad had every necessary role filled. UFS recognized us as a reliable and capable workhorse and trusted us with important missions. The only communications problems we had were due to equipment malfunctions from rain and moisture. That aside, our people did a good job keeping in touch and maintaining squad cohesion. But here's the bad. Early on, it was recognized that Kilo was an experienced and reliable platoon. That proved to be a double-edged sword. Nothing against the UFS senior leadership, because mission comes first, and I totally get it. But I couldn't help but feel like we got the short end of the stick. Basically, this event had certain buildings that were crucial objectives because they produced certain chemicals at certain times of the day. Owning those buildings at the right times was the whole point of the game. Because we were trustworthy and competent, the leadership knew that we wouldn't get bored and wander off, or let ourselves get distracted from our mission, like many airsofters will. Basically, we literally guarded one building for 3 hours straight, then moved to another one, which we guarded for another 3 hours, etc. This isn't the first time this has happened to me. I had 2 years in a row of a different op where my old team literally spent all day both days guarding the same bridge. Both years in a row. I mean, seriously, we never did any missions, and we never saw the field, except for that one damn bridge. This was years ago, before everyone ran cameras and put footage on YouTube, but we knew that other people were running around fighting and taking ground and blowing up tanks, while we sat and guarded this same objective for 16 hours, occasionally shooting people who tried to approach us through the open. But that's all water under the bridge. Anyway, this was kind of like that, but we did at least move around a little bit and see different buildings on Saturday. To be honest, the second day of this event was worse for my squad because it was shorter, and the op only ran from 10:30 to 1400 on Sunday. We held Building 56 from about 10:31 to 13:30. Not even kidding and not exaggerating. Here's the thing. I know this from my time in the Army. If you prove yourself to be reliable and capable, the chain of command will give you the worst jobs. Meanwhile, the guys who don't follow directions and just slack off and fuck around will basically get to just run rampant and free because the leadership doesn't have time to try to herd those cats, and they won't even try. They'll just give you more work instead. It is just a fact of the military and apparently Milsim. It is not a failure on the part of the leadership, and I am not bashing our commander at all. He had one job, and that was to manage his resources in such a way that we would accomplish our missions. He did that, and he did it right. AMS events are not live-action Call of Duty. That would be open-play deathmatch speedsoft or something. Anyway, as casual and filthy as I am, and despite the fact that I was a total fucking pogue in the military, and despite my urge to sham like I was back in the E4 Mafia, I am, at heart, a team player, with no tolerance of Blue Falcons. I will never abandon my post. I stick with my team, and I do my part, because I know that others are relying on me. We can't all be lone wolf YouTube commandos hunting noobs behind enemy lines, because, frankly, that contributes nothing to the overall effort. Moving on. UFS did extremely well. We held the buildings that we needed to and collected the barrels we needed of all the right colors at all the right times. We recovered the tan tubes. From a mission completion standpoint, we did great. We were all pretty sure that we had won. But then at the debriefing, the AMS staff announced that they will no longer be giving the players the results of their events. What? Seriously? Has AMS gone full participation ribbon, special snowflake, safe place on us? No, they haven't. Give me a minute and I can explain. Soldiers don't win. Soldiers either accomplish their mission or they fail their mission. They either make it home or they don't. When military units deploy, they aren't trying to score points against another team. They are trying to get in, accomplish a mission, and get out. In modern conflict, there are many cases where both sides claim victory because they both got what they wanted. Even if the battle seemed numerically lopsided, that doesn't mean anything. There is no one walking around a battlefield with a clipboard counting casualties and then afterward awarding the army with the best kill-death ratio a certificate entitling them the spoils of war. Soldiers are people, not points. Well, this is Milsim. It's kind of like FTX for civilians. The guys dressed different from you are not part of your mission. They aren't why you were there. They're just some other guys who are trying to do their own mission in the same area at the same time you are doing yours. And sometimes you get in each other's way and kill each other. Nothing personal. Years ago, I was the American commander at a Vietnam reenactment Milsim event. I had a decent-sized platoon of infantry and a small squad of 6 LERP reenactor guys. We were outnumbered by about 60 to 40. The little squad of LERPs was all camo-painted and ghillied up. They stayed in constant communication with me and crept around the woods and swamp all day, sneaking from objective to objective, calling in airstrikes, and accomplishing all of our missions. They were almost never detected, and not a one of them used more than one whole mid-cap of ammo all day. Meanwhile, my infantry was surrounded and getting pounded by the numerically superior enemy, and it was all we could do to hold on to our fire base to keep from being overrun. The VC players completely owned that field and killed the hell out of us. At the end of the day, though, when the referees went to calculate the points for the game, they were alarmed to find that the VC players had no props or objectives, while my base contained every game prop they had placed on the field. See, my LERP guys had not only collected all of our props, they had snuck into the VC base, knife-killed their commander and his 2 bodyguards, and stolen all of the VC props before Index. So who won the game? The Americans got slaughtered in battle. According to the respawn clicker counters at the aid station, we suffered something like 400 deaths in a 100-person game. But we had all the objectives. If this were a real battle, what would the newspapers say in either country? The VC would claim that they surrounded and slaughtered an entire battalion of Americans. But the Americans would claim that they captured all the weapon stockpiles and supply drops in the area and assassinated a VC leader. The point that I'm trying to make is that this is a situation where both sides would claim victory. The game organizers, using their standard point system, declared the Americans the winners because the objectives were worth so many points compared to territory control or casualties. The VC players were pissed. I can't blame them. They went all day thinking they had won, and then they got told that they lost by like 1,000 points to someone they outnumbered and bukkake'd like the pointy-eared nympho in a poorly dubbed fantasy hentai. So, back to American Milsim. AMS decided that they were going to stop using point systems and no longer declare a winner at their events. This has caused tremendous butthurt and caused a lot of controversy. But as I explained, I do understand why they decided to do it.
Now, I'm not that guy who shows up to an AAR with stuff to bitch about and no solutions. In all honesty, I'm more the guy who sits quietly at an AAR and silently prays that no one contributes anything at all, and that there is no discussion from the peanut gallery because, damn, I just want to fucking go home. That said, I actually do have something to say this time.
We are competitive people. We like to win. We like to feel validated, especially when we do work. Once upon a time, back before even September 11th, my 2 tours in Iraq, and the soul-crushing burden of working civilian EMS in the 4th most impoverished city in the country, I actually used to care about stuff. Yeah, hard to believe, but I can kind of remember it a little. Anyway, enough of that. On to the metaphor I was trying to construct. If I were a young, stupid, highly motivated, patriotic PFC who believed in things and wasn't yet disgusted and horrified with humanity, and I worked my ass off and ran as fast as I could to get a sub-13-minute time on my 2-mile run, I would want to know what my time is when I cross the finish line at the PT test. In the very least, I'd want to know if I passed or failed. And what I'd really love to know is if I beat my prior record. I don't care about the other guy's times. I don't care what I placed. I wasn't racing anyone. Just myself. But damn it, give me something. Don't just send me back to the barracks to touch myself in the shower and ponder whether I did well enough for Senpai to notice me. So here is my proposal. Mission listing with checkoffs. That's it. If the commander's list of missions had the ones that were successful checked off, and that check sheet were made available to us, that would give us the validation we desire. We could look at it and say, all right, we did 8 out of 10 missions today. Great job, guys. That's like, what, an 80% success rate? Now, granted, comparison of each faction's percentage doesn't mean anything in the way points do, because some missions in the real world are more important than others, and each team would have different missions anyway. But that's a good thing. It encourages players to work as a team and focus on the missions rather than worrying about beating those other guys. After all, if there are 3 things that the military pounds into your head, it is this: mission first, mission first, mission first. So that's my solution. Just give us a checkoff list showing which missions we accomplished and which ones we failed. As far as the AMS storyline goes, I guess it is up to the content developers to decide whether or not they want to keep the story and map going. I'm a filthy casual, and I don't really believe in anything. I'm just here for the violence. So the story didn't mean anything to me personally. I know that some people really like the immersion that the story brings to events, though. It provides fuel for the fire of their military fantasy. As someone who also does live-action role-playing and tabletop gaming, I completely understand and respect that, even if it isn't something that I personally look for in Airsoft. I mean, hell, I'm the guy with the crooked grin on my mask who often plays in a Hawaiian shirt and partially bases his weapons platform preferences on Gun Girl cartoons from Japan, so I am hardly typical of the player base. I think that to a lot of people, though, be they gear-whoring tryhards and $400 cry pants and real plate carriers, or humble new players wearing surplus M81 BDUs and a paintball mask and running a Jingong AEG with mags stuffed in their pockets. The story matters to their individual experience. A Milsim event is what you make of it. Everyone has their own experience, and everyone goes home with their own story, from their own perspective. The event content and background story is the setting and overarching plot to those unique stories, in which players get to imagine themselves as big damn heroes. So for that reason, the AMS storyline and map progression does hold value to many players.
A couple of other minor things. iPro violation. On day 1, I witnessed an AMS staff member take off his iPro on the field right before game on. There were lots of people shooting, test firing, zeroing in their hop-up, etc., all around us, and he took his iPro off. Well, you might say, that's his business and not your problem. I disagree. Event staff must remain professional at all times and set the example, because guess what happened immediately after? One of the players standing near me took off his goggles to wipe them off. When his buddy told him to put them back on, he pointed out that an AMS staff member didn't have iPro on, so it must be okay right now. Wrong answer. Solution: be professional and set the right example. The other thing that I found frustrating is something that bothers me at every tan versus green game that I go to. Fucking multicam. It is literally a 50-50 green and tan camo, and it's just about the most ambiguous pattern out there besides ATAC's FG. Now don't get me wrong. I love multicam, and it is a really effective pattern. But as far as I'm concerned, it has no place at a green versus tan game. It causes some serious IFF problems. It was especially bad at this event because of the rain. Wet multicam gets so dark it looks really green. I had 2 friendly fire incidents this event because I could not properly identify players wearing multicam. I also heard a lot of complaints from cost players that they had hesitated to shoot enemies because they thought they were friendlies. This isn't just an AMS problem, it is a Milsim problem in general. As much as I like multicam, it needs to get dumped from the allowable patterns for tan versus green games. So that's my informal after-action review on American Milsim's Op34. In summary, I had a great time playing the AO with my friends, and I am grateful that AMS was able to not only host this event, but also for the effort they made to roster me with my friends, and for all the work that went into hosting a large-scale event at a challenging AO under adverse weather conditions. Thank you. And finally, I can't sign off without saying thank you to all the members of the community that I got to share this experience with. Thank you to everyone, UFS and cost. My last thank you is to you, the viewer, for taking the time to watch this video. Anyway, thanks for listening, call your hits, and canter on.